Well, one day there's sun, the next day there's rain or clouds, whatever it is. Here in Los Angeles, that's right. I lost my guitar, it's gone. I went and checked on it yesterday. $1,000 guitar. We could have got it for $200, guys. I want to thank 2 anonymous donors to my show, $20 each. Thank you very much. Here is the fruit of our wares. Right here. Look at it. I mean, finally, they started putting a little moo juice. You can see the color here. I lighten it up a little bit so it's not so acidic. You know me, I only drink at Starbucks. And what we're using is free association here on my show. And yeah, I might go off about a few things here or there. But we're using this free association technique that was championed into psychotherapy. Okay? I don't really have any quote-unquote issues. I told you what happened to me in my life, and I talk about it matter-of-factly. A homewrecker came in and took our father out of our home, and he went for it. I don't know why. I know as a budding father, I never became a father, but I would never do something like that. I tried to never abandon my sisters or my mother entirely, but I have. They're not interested in being my friend. I too abandoned my band because before I knew it, I'm playing in front of a bunch of strangers, a bunch of people I don't even know. The scene that I came up in was gone. And by the way, I think it was pretty dumb doing a television show about the Sex Pistols. They were only together for 2 years. Okay? In case you don't know, I'm writing the novelization to an on-demand series. And you will see it get made. It will get made. I have all the original music, and in checking out Daisy and the Six, the Daisy and the Six, with the granddaughter of Elvis Presley, whose brother is in the 27 Club. Okay, not a lot of people know that. And listen, if somebody feels put upon that I'm shit talking them or whatever it is, you can come on the show. You can come on the show. You can say whatever you want. Most people make hit videos. I was talking about Red Bar's hit video that he's doing with people like Joey Diaz. I don't really know. I only watch Red Bar when he's talking about people who I know who they are, and you know, that's the case. That's what most people do. Oh man! So I was watching Biker News yesterday. I'm watching Biker News, and the guy goes, they're talking about the mob, of course. I mean, you know, it's the same shit that's on Toko show. They worship at the altar of the fucking mob, and I'm dispelling these myths on my show. If anyone wants to come on and challenge me, go ahead. You can challenge me in the comments. You can donate to my show. I can get my guitar out of the pawn shop. I talked to him yesterday. I had a percussion instrument in there with it called the brown toad. That's right, I started doing the brown toad. Brown toad, calling the brown toad. Brown toad, come in, brown toad. I grew up watching mostly Hanna-Barbera cartoons. If you don't know the difference between Seals and Croft and Sid and Marty Croft, maybe you didn't grow up in the 70s. I know I did. We call it the BC era, before computers. That's right. So I'm watching Biker News yesterday, and they're lapping at the sack of the mob as they do. And oh, by the way, 2 shows came out of Sopranos writers' room, the Sopranos writing room, Oz and Mad Men. 2 pretty big shows, right? Am I right? Yeah. I told you I saw Michael Imperioli before he was even in there. I knew who he was. I knew he was a small-time actor. I saw the film that he was in. He played a scene in Gramercy Park. And at Gramercy Park, right across, there's a hotel there. In Manhattan, I'm talking about. I lived in New York for 14 years. And there's a hotel right across from Gramercy Park that I'm saying Michael Imperioli did a scene in a film that I saw him in. I go, that's Gramercy Park, and that's Michael Imperioli. I knew who he was before The Sopranos. And in that hotel, Julian Schnabel did the art, did all the flat works. He was commissioned to do the flat works for the lobby of the hotel there, the Gramercy Hotel. I think it was called Smeared Fecal on Canvas. That's what I saw. I watched David Cho. It's great, you watch David Cho. He gets inspiration from trashing an office, a room in an office building, throwing paint all over the walls. Wow, how cathartic. I saw the same thing in a film about Jackson Pollock at a Patti Smith concert, I would say in 1979. When I was with a biker chick and she tried to beat up, I forgot his name. It wasn't Fred Sonic Smith. It was the other guy, Lenny Kaye. She kicked Lenny Kaye in the balls. She tried to beat Patti Smith up, but Patti Smith was too strung out. Like Lenny Kaye, protected her, and then so she ended up kicking Lenny Kaye in the nads. These fucking people, man. Such bullshit artists. Anyway. Oh, and by the way, they sent another operative yesterday. Unbelievable. Oh, all right. Well, I hope I don't get a strike for this music, but we're going to go on. Oh, so anyway, so I'm watching Biker News, and this guy, he's talking about Mississippi burning, and he goes, yeah. He goes, the FBI, they're talking about some mob guy. He goes, yeah, the FBI hired him to go down and try to find, he was so ruthless, the FBI hired him to go down to Mississippi burning to find the missing kids, right? In the, the uprising. Right? The three missing people who went down to Mississippi. They made a film about it with the great Gene Hackman. Love me some Hackman. That's right. Working with John Cazale. In the conversation. So this biker, he's admonishing some mob guy that he read a book about, that 75% of that motherfucker is fluff. Not my book. I wrote a book called Two-Legged Animal. Check it out. It's always in the description. Please. And thank you. Did I already thank my 2 anonymous donors for a $20 PayPal? Thank you very much. Thank you, anonymous donors. Thank you. I've given to shows that I like. This chick, I don't know, she was probably lying that she was pregnant. I sent her money one time. She had a really kind of mediocre show. Compared to mine. Sophisticated. This was in the 2018 era when they melted my brain. And we'll be talking about that every single show. I hope you guys stay tuned. I hope you guys are interested in the subject matter. So I'm listening to Biker News. And the guy says they hired a guy from the mob. The FBI hired a guy from the mob. Okay? Then he starts going into all this detail. Let's just stop right there. That should have stopped you right there. Fed rat. That's what a Fed rat is. Take a look at World War II. Hey, we got to go in Italia and, stop this fascism. Can you fellas help us out? We'd be eternally grateful. Now, that would be a good film. That would be a great film. Okay? Unfortunately, with a lot of these things, especially with the plumbers, I listened to HBO documentary, just a podcast they're doing about the plumbers instead of giving us a free episode. Excuse me. So, And the guy's framing it like E. Howard Hunt, who's being played by Woody Harrelson, and GOrDIE, who's being played by a guy who I remember his name. That they're inept, that they're wannabes. This is how he's framing it, these guys. Okay? These two guys were instrumental in the murder of JFK. That's who the fuck these guys are. And they have been in the White House for so long that they're trying to get rid of them. So that they frame the narrative like they're clowns, like they're inept, right? In order to get rid of them. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the series. I'm sure it's very funny. I'd love to see it. I love a lot of HBO stuff. Sopranos, I think, was on HBO, right? Right? I think it was, yeah. But again, they're framing this narrative like E. Howard Hunt is inept, when the fact was his wife died in a mysterious plane crash. That's the strange thing about plane crashes. You could probably count them on both your hands and your feet. That's how few planes actually crash. Okay? The amount of plane crashes that have ever happened, you can count them on both your hands and your feet, right? We all got 10 fingers and 11 toes, don't we, mostly? Oh, yeah. Right. In case you don't know, I always like to say that everybody's born equal, but under unequal circumstances, okay? When they railroaded me off of 2 jobs, I decided not to go back, okay? I have to find a job that suits me. It might be a temp job, whatever it is. But I'm not going to be sitting around with a bunch of inept morons when I could be doing my show. And I really appreciate any support you could give me. Leave a comment, please. Let me know you're watching my show. There's tons of AI bots out there. The chick who I dig, she blocked me, so whatever. There's nothing I can do about it. And again, what's the last thing she was talking about? Like sneezing in Target. I mean, just this really... Nobody's touching this hard-hitting stuff that I'm touching on my show. Nobody's touching this stuff, okay? We talk about Fed rats on this show. Why? Because I experience stuff on the ground. A lot of stuff that people are talking about, oh, this is bullshit, that's bullshit. We are controlled by corporations. Take a look at the great film with the terrible title, Killing Them Softly. I love this film. It's got Gandolfini in it. Right? I love that scene with Gandolfini, man. Fucking great. And Brad Pitt, who looks like he was spawned straight from Robert Redford's Baby Batter, maybe. He was in Johnny Suede. I urge you to see Johnny Suede. It has Samuel L. Jackson playing the bass, I believe. And it was made by Tom DiCillo. Tom DiCillo was a Dead Boys man. Okay, if you're from America, you should be into the Dead Boys more than you are the Sex Pistols. That's why that series failed. They were only together for 2 fucking years. What my series is going to deliver is original music, original content, and the possibility not only of continuing on in a different musical genre, but also notions like reincarnation. It's going to be pretty heady. I forgot to use my lip balm again. In case you don't know, I got the jab to get a job and I have an uptick in dry skin. That's right. Sometimes when I scratch my legs, it looks like a box of instant mashed potatoes spilled over. I don't know what happened. It's disgusting. I guess I should get some Johnson & Johnson lotion to go with my Hoboken of vaccines. Johnson & Johnson. I used to drive by Johnson & Johnson facility, laboratory. Back when I was working, back when I was married, back when I was altruistic, people don't talk about women taking advantage of men. They don't talk about that too often. I'll never be a victim because I could have walked away at any time. And a lot of times I allow things to happen so I have stories to write about and so I could really get to the bottom of things. Just like what happened back in Michigan. setting me up with drugs. I'll tell you something. If I owned a business out by the Detroit City Airport, and I had a beautiful family, beautiful house, and all this money coming in, I sure as fuck wouldn't let some guy be bringing drugs inside my business. Street drugs. Sounds like a setup to me. And that's what happened to me in Detroit before I left. It was a total fucking setup. And I went for it. Why? Because I hadn't figured out that they're actually using your device to torture you. That's right. I spent 10 years on social media. I'm here to tell you, I'm harder, smarter, better, faster getting off of it. And now, I like some things about Elon Musk, but the fact is, there's a good possibility that Elon Musk covered up the crimes of these Fed rats that he fired inside Twitter. Right? Because nobody's talking about the things that I'm talking about. They can crank the algorithm up in your phone, and it causes, I can't think of Neuralink. It causes a neurological disturbance, and they can melt your brain. And we were talking about this before, because if they melt your brain, they can declare you brain dead. And the state can kill you. State control! State control! This is state control! Someone does a cover of this band called The Jam, English Rose. It comes on every once in a while. Somebody does a cover of it. I don't know if it was a cover that they did. It could have been a cover by them. I don't know. But I remember it from The Jam. The Jam came out around the same time as the Sex Pistols. And again, there's tons of American punk rock. You got to go to the Grievance GOrDIE Show channel. You got to check the playlists. We're talking about the playlist that I put up called Anytime, Anywhere with Richie Aprile. Okay? I love new actors, guys. Okay, nobody wants to see these old motherfuckers phoning it in. I'm here to tell you. Oh, you guys want to hear some more celebrity sightings that I had that nobody in my family could give a shit about? I told you about my Schwigger, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I worked on, what's it? I can't remember the name of it now. Something American Hero or whatever the fuck it is. I only worked one day. Whatever. I was spitting distance. I was spitting distance to him. Yeah, it's gonna rain, guys. I'm fucked. I'm so fucked, man. I want to go to the library. Oh, I want to go to the library so bad, man. Whatever. And I saw Al Pacino. I saw Al Pacino twice, and I saw Tim Roth twice. I was in a bar at, like I said, 2A. Upstairs, it's a second floor bar. That's where I saw Tim Roth, and I saw him walking on the Lower East Side. Now, Tim Roth, I knew from a film called Jumpin' at the Boneyard. Now, at the time that I saw him, I don't think... when I saw him... I'm trying to think... I don't know if Pulp Fiction was out yet. I guess it was, because Pulp Fiction came out in... No. Pulp Fiction wasn't out yet. Right? Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Sorry. So we're talking a little bit about this tech now. I spent 10 years... on social media. I saw David Duchovny once. By the way, can we just talk about Californication? It seems to me like David Duchovny's acting style is called walking in between the raindrops. Okay? This guy is so non-committed. He just floated through that series. And once again, what did they do? They got lazy. They got lazy because they're shooting in a studio And then they made the series about the film industry. So they could just shoot on site, right? I guess, as it were, right? They can just film where they're at. I mean, it's just lazy filmmaking. It's lazy writing, everything about it. And so what they did was they used Bukowski's books as the inspiration for Californication. Okay? And that's really it. And I think David Duchovny could have done so much of a better job if he would have went a little bit more method. Maybe, I don't know, have a fucking 5 o'clock shadow or something, look a little bit more greasier. He's supposed to be this rugged writer. Like, what the fuck? He looked like pansy soft. I'm just being honest, man. It was a little too polished. There's so much stuff out there, it's a little too polished. Now, I just got done saying I saw Tim Roth in a film called Jumpin' at the Boneyard. That's where I saw him. I go, man, there's Tim Roth from Jumpin' at the Boneyard. That's where I saw him, man. And that's the film that I really, truly loved. It had one of the Arquettes, the one that's dead now, unfortunately, the Arquette brother who became trans and who also was in Pulp Fiction. Okay, so this leads me to believe that obviously Tarantino saw Jumpin' at the Boneyard. I saw this film at the theater, guys. This is part of why I moved to New York City, and people can't understand that. I took my $10,000 that I got from Harmony House Records. I went to a doctor because I was breaking up with my girlfriend, and I was wondering why I was so emotional. It's because, obviously, I was abandoned by my father, and I felt like I was abandoned by her, of course. I mean, you know. And I had never went to a doctor before. Plus, I was drinking. I started drinking when? As a teenager in high school, guys. 12, 13, 14 years old. Okay, there's nothing wrong with having a beer. We used to drink Zing, actually. It's non-alcoholic. It was called Zing, non-alcoholic. But again, by the time I quit, I was 25 years in, drinking every night, every single night. I would drink at least a 40 ounce. Okay, and so did my stepdad's mother. She drank like that. My father drank like that. Okay, a lot of people drank like that. So that's why I don't really care. You know what I mean? Sure, I could picture my life without cigarettes and without, alcohol. Yeah, that's all right. It was only the first part of my life. Let's hope I have a second part. Right? You can see when it's cloudy. Can you see it? Yeah. Pretty gloomy. Hate it. That's all right. We keep going. So I was on social media for 10 years, and this is what they're going to do. So when I was in New York living with my wife, and I was being harassed because I was on Bolo, right? Because I never finished my, this is what I have to deduct. And this was fomented right here on this show, guys. This is why you got to watch this show every single day. Please and thank you. Please donate to this show. I appreciate it. I put my money where my mouth is. I'll be doing this show for the next 10 years. I was a songwriter for 10 years. I could still write songs. I was an actor and a production assistant for 10 years. I could still work as an actor and a production assistant, as you can see. What else? I was on social media for 10 years. Right? I got a CDL. I got 3 years to live on the streets. 3 years. I could do the show from the streets of LA, but I can't, I can't move and shake until you guys help the show along. I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck in like about a not even that, 3 square miles. 3 square mile area. That's it. Excuse me. Am I charming your pants off yet? Yeah, unfortunately, I charmed the pants off of the wrong people. Ugh. It's pretty brutal. So again, You got to take the good with the bad. There's certain things I like about Elon Musk, and there's certain things that are obviously suspect. He probably went into Twitter, and I knew it. Now, I called it, guys. I called it. You didn't hear it here, but I called it somewhere. That you were going to have to start paying to be on these things. Take a look at the great David Fincher's, all of his films are great, but take a look at The Social Network. When that Nepo baby, Melanie Griffith's daughter, she tells you, that character tells you that social media is addicting. She says, I believe she says it's addicting as hell. When she says it right when she turns her back and she starts walking back into the shower and she's naked, right? Right? So you have this lovely image that's hypnotizing you, and you're going into this image, right? So in case you don't know, I speak in very poetic language. I identify with the right side of my brain. I actually used to write girls love letters. I didn't know that they wanted the captain of the football team at the time. I had no idea. I'm like, oh, I think a love letter would work. And that's how I honed my writing skills as a child. Then I went from writing love letters to girls to writing songs in my band. And that was a punk band, like loud, fast, and snotty, right? That's what we played. And again, take a look at my playlist. We're talking about a little bit about some of the things that are on my playlist. There's one called 16 Stoned and Inspired. This is on the Grievance GOrDIE channel. Please subscribe to both channels. And whatever. Go fuck yourself. Oh, take a look at my writing. It's on Kindle. And I'm not making any money, but do what you can. Try to check some things out. I think you can read some stuff for free. I think that was a big mistake. It's like, hey, buy my book. They're like, oh, I can get it for free. Fucking jackass. I'm like, come on. Oh, don't say that. So, through your device, they can excite your nervous system. And this is what they were doing to me in New York with my wife's complete approval. Now, I was with her for 7 years. It's very provable, from 2010 to 2017. Okay? Nobody's faulting anybody for breaking up. If you don't love somebody, that's fine. But what you don't do is torture them. I don't care who you think you are, but I'm not the one. And that's what they were doing. That's why I kept getting hassled. They were monitoring me nonstop. That's why they were able to come in. They knew that I smoked weed. They gave me they came into where I worked, the DOT, okay? Gave me a ticket, made me take a test. The guy working there was yelling in my face. All these people, I do believe in coincidences. Okay, let's back up. It depends on what it is. Okay? It depends on what it is. And so when people talk about, they use the term that I hate to use, conspiracy theory, okay? They put it in the pejorative. Now, is there a conspiracy theory between Mickey D's, my favorite, and Burger King? No, not to us. We can just go to either one. We don't give a shit. But don't you think the people who worked at McDonald's consider what the people did at Burger King to be a conspiracy theory against them? Yeah, it was a conspiracy theory against them, because they met in private, they looked at their business, and they said, we're going to get a piece of that fucking business. We're going to take a piece out of their ass. Absolutely. So you see? So again, it depends on what your perspective is and what player you are on that chessboard. If you're not a player on the chessboard, well then yeah, there's no big conspiracy theory, is there? But when you investigate and you look into things, now take a look at some of my Wikipedia links in the description, guys. Take a look at those. I tell you guys to do a lot. I'm giving you homework. I hate homework. Homework's a joke. Homework should be done in a school. You don't take homework home. right? Your school day should be about 10 hours. After about 10 hours, you got to be done. I mean, give me a break. I learned most of what I learned outside of school. And I lived with a woman, my mother, dear old Ma, I call her, oh boy. Right? She didn't know shit from shoe polish. She couldn't go to school. Okay? She wasn't allowed to. She had to work on a farm. So she projected the importance of school and importance of this education. She actually believes that if you got a degree, that you can get a job in that degree. Okay, nobody's guaranteeing anybody an effing job. This is what people don't understand, and that is part of the mythos of affirmative action. The people who are pro-affirmative action saying, yeah, we're getting jobs because of it. People who are anti-affirmative action are saying, yeah, they're getting jobs because of it. When in fact, all different nationalities have been going and getting educations at the same schools, basically, for a lot of years. I'm not sure why people identify with things that happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago. When I was born and I grew up, they opened up a Mickey D's in my neighborhood and we all ate there. Okay, I talk about Mickey D's a lot. Maybe I'm hungry. Right? In case you don't know, I live off the EBT menu only. I live off the donations for this show. I really appreciate you guys. I did lose my guitar though. Sadly, that's a $1,000 guitar we could have got back for $200, guys. $200. I'm depending on you. I'm here to do this show every day. I will be on here, not every day. Sorry, I don't want to threaten you like that. Right? Again, I started off show off by talking about biker news. This guy talks about this guy in the mob being hired by the FBI. Why? Right? He's a Fed rat. That's why. That's what they are. Right? This whole notion is a fucking joke. These FBI guys took over those rackets. Okay? And they utilize these mob guys. Why? Because we can see it goes all the way back to World War II. I already talked about that. Okay? Now, they're utilizing, it's not about going to jail. There's a big stand down order on all shoplifting in a lot of liberal states. Why? Especially here in California. Why? Because everything is interconnected. I call it the panopticon. Right? Your smartphone knows, especially if you're on Bolo like me. I don't know if I'm on Bolo anymore. Anyways, that was supposed to be part of my second book called I, Son, my second memoir, which I'll probably start to write after Linoleum Blown Apart. I'll be doing a Linoleum Blown Apart episode this week for sure. And so that's what they have. They have a stand down order. They can tell, like I said before, okay, you got priors. Okay, you got a big blip. There's your blip, big blippy, right? Because you got some priors, buddy. We're going to keep our eye on you. You're more than likely going to steal, right? So through your smartphone, they actually know how much is in your bank account, right? So if they're seeing this guy doesn't have any money, this guy meaning me, hello, right? They're going to see, wow, well, he's more than likely going to steal, right? Because he doesn't have any money. We can see I live off the EBT menu, right? And we know it's not enough money. It comes out to less than $10 per day. And when I was working, I was spending upwards of $30 a day on food. And that was to eat comfortably in order to get to sleep. I don't know if you guys know this phenomenon or not, but a lot of times, for me personally, I need a nice full belly. If I get a nice full belly, you can sleep. If you're hungry, I don't know what the science is on this, but for me personally, just my personal experience, which is important, it's harder for me to get to sleep. Okay? And that's why I'm here. I'm here in conjunction with 23andMe to tell my story, and it's a site more interesting than most. And thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.